We have the approval of the September 20th meeting minutes. Now, has everyone had the opportunity to view the meeting minutes? If not, we have copies up here for you to review that. If there are any typos or anything that needs to be corrected, please let me know at this time. All right, Kirk?
I realized that I had made an error, so the minutes are accurate, but the information is inaccurate.
Okay.
Regarding I referenced an upcoming joint working session between City Council and the DDA. And in fact, it was not on October 9th. It is slated for November 13th.
Okay.
So my apologies for that error.
You said November 13th.
Correct, November 13th.
Okay. All right. So that is a correction. All righty. Any other corrections to the meeting minutes? All right. Is there anyone that would like to?
I'll move to approve them.
All right, Larry moves to approve.
I'll
All in
second.
favor? Oh, Kathleen seconds.
She got it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, wonderful, folks. Thank you. All right.
You sound really
Next,
today.
we have the wonderful presentations, and I'd like to first start off with the amazing Ira Lax of the Washtenaw County Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled. And first, I would like to congratulate you, Ira, and on your wonderful retirement.
Well, thank you very much, Zach. It's been great coming to these meetings for many years, and you're always so welcoming, and it's just great that the library and the commission can be natural partners, and and it will continue because Katie Mankiewicz, who works in our department, Outreach and Neighborhood Services at the Ann Arbor District Library. And this is Katie right here with me today. And so she'll see you in November.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And again, congratulations, and we hope that you can remain a wonderful community member of Ann Arbor, and thank you for everything that you have done.
Well, thanks, Zach. I really appreciate it.
When's your last day there, Ira?
The 27th.
I'll have
A
to
week
come down
from
and
Friday.
visit you on your last day before you take off.
What's that?
I have to come down and visit you then.
Yeah, please do. Anytime next week, come on by. All right, I wanted to mention a very stimulating talk tonight, Wednesday, October 18th at the library, at the downtown library, 7 to 8:30. This is in conjunction with the Investing in Abilities programs that occur this time of year through U of M Council for Disabilities. And this is Mira Krishnan. She is a psychologist from Grand Rapids, and she will be talking about, her title of her talk is From Stigma to Strength, Rethinking How We Do Diversity. And I've been looking at her website, which is miracharlotte.com, Mira, M-I-R-A. And it's just, she's a very creative thinker and very fresh thinker, and I think anyone who comes to this talk tonight will get some really new perspectives on how we look at diversity, how we look at disability, and it should be, I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope anybody who can, please come. And then tomorrow night, if you love mystery writers, we're going to have two of the best in the country celebrating 25 years for Aunt Agatha's Mystery Bookstore. An evening of mystery authors. The two authors are William Kent Kruger, who will be talking about his new mystery, Sulphur Springs, and Julia Keller. Her new book is Fast Falls the Night. And they will both be there at the downtown library, 7 to 8:30. tomorrow, October 19th. And then after that, this Saturday, there's a 3-hour session, Saturday morning at Pittsfield Branch, Introduction to Insight Meditation with Still Mountain Meditation. So this one, if you're interested in learning a form of meditation, this might be a really good one to try because it's 3 hours and you really get a taste of it and see what you think. And this is at the Pittsfield Branch, Saturday morning, October 21st, 9:30 to 12:30. And then Sunday, the following day, 22nd, there's author Joanne Nesbitt discusses legendary locals of Ann Arbor. And so it's, every once in a while we get a book about Ann Arbor architecture, but this one's about great characters in Ann Arbor history, and I think it comes right up to the present. So we've all known people that we know kind of say Ann Arbor, just in who they are and their personalities. And hey, Larry might even be in there. I don't know.
I would run from that one then.
Anyway, that's Sunday at 2 o'clock at Westgate Branch, 2 to 3:30, this Sunday. And then the following Monday, 23rd, Breaking the Stress Cycle from Childhood to Adulthood. Dr. Daniel Keating from U of M will be there to talk about how stress affects us at any stage of life. And so that's an important, we've learned how important stress is to our well-being or to our unwell-being, and ways of handling that will be part of this discussion. And then that's it as far as programs. I wanted to mention a couple of the materials at the library. One was a movie that is a few years old, but it's a wonderful depiction of a family in Nebraska, in rural Nebraska. It's called Nebraska, and Bruce Dern is the father who thinks he wins a lottery, a $1 million lottery ticket, and has to go to the big city to claim his prize. And his son is working and doesn't have the time to take him, and so he starts walking. And it's at least 100 miles. I don't remember how far. But it's a great family story of the relationships between him and his son, his wife, and then they finally get to one of their other relatives and have a big family reunion. And so the father is definitely has some dementia going, and it's just interesting to watch how they all react to each other. It's in black and white. It's very well done. Nebraska. And then I also have Movie Violations by the great journalist John Hockenberry. And if you listen to NPR over the years, especially between 2000 and 2010, he did reporting from all over the world. And he became paraplegic when he was 19 years old. And the book discusses how his physical, emotional, and psychic challenges, how he faced them for many, many different stories that he covered, and in different parts of the world. So a lot of times we don't think about how your disability, how you have to deal with it in different places in the world and different cultures. So it's a few years old, but I believe it would be very useful to read this memoir, Moving Violations. This was about 20 years old, and I looked him up, and he just retired from a show he had had on New York Public Radio for many years. So he just retired this summer. And then lastly, I want to mention a book for teens called Until Tuesday. I think it would be fine for adults too. Until Tuesday, a wounded warrior and the golden retriever who saved him, from 2011 by Luis Carlos Montalvan. And this was an Iraqi war veteran, and he got a dog, and this is his, the salvation of his dog just meant everything to him for his life after the war. So we've got 3 copies of it. The only one available now is out of Traverwood, but you could put a hold on it. It's Until Tuesday, A Wounded Warrior and the Golden Retriever Who Saved Him, Luis Carlos Montalvan. Any questions?
Larry?
Of course, that would be me. But no, yeah, it's never occurred to me to ask.
Yeah.
As long as I've been here a few years, do all of these books that you bring in, do all of them that you bring in, can you get the CD copies too there? I know you can get CD copies of a lot of stuff, because
Yeah.
sometimes I can get it before I can get it from NLS.
Right,
But
right.
it might be nice to know if we can get them in the CD copy too, when you bring in the books
Yes.
in the future.
You know,
That
I don't
really-
always check that, and I didn't this time, so as for Katie's writing it down. And so she will check that and try to be cognizant of that in the future, because, you know, we make that a point in, when we choose the Washtenaw Read book, the countywide read that we do. And so we should do that with all the things we bring here, too.
Yeah, because I've done it a few times, but I forget about it.
Yeah.
I forget about it too, because I
Yeah.
got NLS and they're usually pretty good, but
Well, I
sometimes the
would-
book comes out way before NLS gets it.
Well, I would think Moving Violations is in that format, but I don't know if we carry it.
And Ira, excuse me, do you mind just introducing Katie for us?
Katie, come on up. She has attended in my absence a couple times.
She
But
has.
This is Katie. She goes by Katie Monk, and she's very involved. She's like our point person for the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled, and knows much more about the technical side of it than I do. So if you have any questions for her.
It's good to be here. Thanks, guys.
All right, yeah, thank you, Katie, and thank you very much,
Yeah,
Ira.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Did you have a question?
No, I actually wanted to say thank you to Ira.
Oh, thank you.
Presentation. I'm really enjoying hearing you talk about all the resources that you have available at the library, and I want to wish you a happy retirement, and I
Well-
hope to see you around the city.
Well, thank you so much, Allison. I feel the same way about all of you, and I'm sure we will run into each other. We do already occasionally.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to the library.
I've seen him sneaking out for lunch.
Oh, yeah, Larry sees me.
Well,
Yeah.
well, thank you
I
again
look
so
forward
much,
to seeing you.
and
Okay, you're
Thank you.
welcome.
thank you again, folks. All right, next, we have Carolyn Growie, the Executive Director and CEO of the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living, and welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you very much, Zach, and hello, Commissioners. We have our full list of items of things going on at the Ann Arbor CIL. Just to remind the community, the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living is on the southwest side of town. We are at 3941 Research Park Drive, which is going to be where most of these events that I'm going to be telling you about in just a moment. Again, that's 3941 Research Park Drive. You can also look up information about the center at www.annarborcil.org. And we hope to be able to have many of you in the community join us. So the first event that we have coming up is that, in case anybody isn't aware, there are elections in our community that affect everybody on November 7th. And so in preparation for that, the County Elections Commission office out of Washtenaw County is hosting with the Ann Arbor CIL at the Ann Arbor CIL this Friday from 12 to 4 an open house to try the accessible voting machine out. Of course, the machine does not process your vote. What it does is it allows you to mark your ballot in an accessible format, either by listening to the ballot being read to you and choosing items, by seeing it in large print, or by seeing it in standard print but having the aid of the ballot marker to assist you. If you are not able to join us at this event, every polling place will have this new device in their midst. And in doing so, every poll worker will be being trained on using these. So I know that in Ann Arbor, as an example, election poll officials are being trained on Tuesday. But our event is this Friday, the 20th, from 12 to 4 at the Ann Arbor CIL. We welcome the community to come and take your your choices of things like your favorite ice cream, your favorite car, that's what's on our fun ballot. The election, of course, is very important for people to voice their opinions about things related to accessible education, related to countywide parks access and parks programming, and of course, the big one that everybody's been talking about more for our county, which is countywide safety and mental health treatment. So if people are able to look up information about all that voting, we're just make sure you know to vote. You can look up all that information up on county sites, on the ISD site, on the city sites. You can find out all kinds of information about wherever you live and whatever vote may be on your piece. But please come join us for the accessible voting device open house. The next piece is, and I'm looking at my phone because the date and time changed, but we are going to be having a holiday job fair at the center, and it's going to be next Tuesday, October 24th. There will be a preparation for it, so a chance for individuals to have their resume looked over, do some final edits if they like, at a workshop from 10 to 11:30. There'll be on-site snacks and things like that at the center. And then from 12 to 3, there will actually be a holiday open house with places like Zingerman's, places like Briarwood, hopefully Costco, other entities that have holiday jobs. There will be holiday employers who will be present for this job fair. And we look forward to having individuals who are interested in looking for employment to come for that. Because I won't see you until after the next event after that, there's also an event coming up in our careers workshops that is going to be called Speak with Confidence. That will be on Wednesday, November 15th, and it will be at the center from 10 to 12, so at the Ann Arbor CIL from 10 to 12 on November 15th, Speaking with Confidence. Additionally, we have other things coming up. So we have another event that's happening on the same week, next week, October 26th, which is a Thursday. And at that event, we will be having a transition workshop. It'll be a transition for youth to know more about their disability and for parents and caregivers to foster independence for their children and youth that they may be parents or guardians of. Also, before the next time that we see you, there will be another support group for youth on transition about budgeting and learning about the budget process. Additionally, on November 9th, there will be a parents and partners discussion about the MyAble accounts that people in Michigan, we have a MyAble opportunity, which allows you to set aside about $14,000 a year for your children, or even for people with disabilities whose disability has been present before age 26. They're able to put money aside that will remain tax-free and be able to be used and not affect your other benefits for things related to your disability.
I've heard about that.
And so there will be a discussion on that on November 9th at the Ann Arbor CIL. Additionally, one more event I neglected to mention for next week, which is on October 25th, is that we are having a budgeting workshop. It's a panel discussion. There will be a person who is in their life has been both a social worker and is an investor and is able to talk with individuals about how can they begin to save, how can they budget differently, how can they set aside funds for their future. And so that will be happening on October 25th. There will also be a person who works with the United Way who will be looking at what does tax preparation look like. So now we're at October. Soon enough it'll be in December and we'll be already starting to do our taxes again, so there's never too soon a time to start making sure that we're all saving the right forms to be able to move forward. Some additional pieces of programming is we have Healthy Cooking, and Healthy Cooking will be taking place next on October 30th. And those are always a lot of fun. Every time that we have those, people have fun learning to cook the items, be part of the process, and in doing so, then enjoy a meal together. So they learn each of the groups that are working on things are able to then come together to have a joint meal, because by the time they've all learned the different processes of what's being taught, then you end up with this nice multi-course lunch. And so they really enjoy that, and we encourage people to participate in that. And then our usual two that we talk about every month, I'll just mention, which is Monday, Thursday, Friday, open art from 1 to 3 p.m. at the center. And Wednesday and Saturdays, we have the Diversibility Theater that happens in the evening from 5 to 7, and we encourage everybody's participation. Open to any questions or comments that may come from the group. Anybody got anything today?
Larry?
Now, the voting thing Friday, when you do demonstrate the voting machines,
Yes.
is that structured so do you have to be there from like not noon to 3, or can you drop in at like, let's say 2 o'clock and try to test it?
Yes, it's an open house. You can drop in any time between 12 and 4. The machines will be set up, and somebody from the county elections office will be there the whole time. So any questions or needs that may arise will be there. And of course, you're all welcome to visit with any of our CIL staff while you're there too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Carolyn at this time? No? Okay, thank you very much,
Yeah,
Carolyn.
thank you very much as well.
All right. Next, we have the wonderful Miss Robin Pott from Snow Buddy. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you. Good day, everybody. Thanks for inviting us here. I don't know where everyone's starting point is, so I'm just going to give a brief of why I'm here.
Sure.
So Snow Buddy is all-volunteer neighborhood nonprofit in Waterhill, just west of the city, where we've gotten together over the past 3 winter seasons and collected funds to support a neighborhood-wide free sidewalk snow removal program for everyone living in our neighborhood, regardless of their ability to volunteer or to contribute money. We talk about it's a public radio model where people contribute as they need and the whole neighborhood benefits. We've had 3 very successful seasons, and we're heading into our 4th with a grant from the Ann Arbor Area Community Foundation to to investigate ways to expand what we're doing in other neighborhoods with the goal of eventually a citywide sidewalk snow removal program. With that money, we have, our team has been reaching out to community leaders, and our 2 of our members, Lisa Brush and Jim Frey, have been in communications with Partners in Access over the summer, and this has led to an invitation by the city's neighborhood partnering initiative to invite us to apply for a micro grant to actually pilot expanding in this winter season. And we're used to moving quickly. We got, the 5 of us got Snow Buddy up and running within 3 weeks in the winter of 2014.
Wow.
So I know the grant seems like an aggressive timeline, but there's a lot of excitement around this idea, and we find our experience is that the neighborhood will come together and we'll pull this off. So that's why I'm here today to ask for this particular Commission on Disabilities endorsement of this proposal, because our mission behind all this is we see sidewalks as an important transportation corridor for everyone, especially those who cannot or do not want to drive, and that includes making our sidewalks mobile for everyone, including the disabled, the elderly, small children. So your endorsement was asked for by Howard Lazarus, who we met with the city supervisor, and that's why we're here today. So I would take questions or comments on the grant if you've had an opportunity to review it.
Larry, 1 second. Allison had her hand up as well,
Sure,
so I
sure.
will get to you after
it,
Allison,
got it.
okay?
Yeah, this
Allison?
is not a question, this is more of a comment and encouragement. We're trying to get this micro grant proposal endorsed and finalized today, because this is the last day that Howard Lazarus could get to it. So we want to be sure we get it to him before 5 o'clock. So if you have any questions or any suggestions for the micro grant proposal, I encourage you to share them now before we start our discussion with the Partners in Access portion of the meeting. So please go ahead and share your questions and suggestions. Thank you. Larry?
Larry?
The only question I have is the micro grant just for your neighborhood, or is it for the whole city?
So the micro grant is to support us finding a new neighborhood. to pilot expanding. So we are not going to run Water Hill Snow Buddy off of this grant. It will support us supporting a new neighborhood, and that includes securing a tractor, getting the ice melt, fundraising, recruiting and volunteers, just kind of the administrative portion of things. The grant ask is for $24,999, and we run Snow Buddy for about $30,000, not including, the securities for buying the equipment. So we think we could open a new neighborhood with this amount this season. And again, Water Hill Snow Buddy will not be supported with this money. It will all go towards the expansion
And
efforts.
is there any neighborhoods that are being considered right offhand, or have we got to that stage yet?
So in our grant proposal, the first task is to identify ideal neighbors. And that we have a list of ideas of what we are looking for. A neighborhood that has the motivation that we need the volunteers. Is volunteer run. We need a neighborhood is motivated and excited to put those volunteers forth to get the operation established, and then actually to run the operation when the snow starts falling. So no, we have not identified a neighborhood. Our first task is to figure out how to identify and then make contact with potential neighborhoods. And in part of that process is consulting with the Commission on Disability, the Center for Independent Living, the schools, the Aging in Place constituency. So we're going to be going to the people who we really are targeting, improving mobility and access to the sidewalks during the winter, and figuring out if there's ideal neighborhoods that has a high need and could be motivated to put together the volunteer team to pull it off. Do you have any suggestions?
Anybody? No?
For
Uh,
that-
Oh,
Is
Just
that
while
for
we're here.
for that question specifically, or other questions?
in
regarding-
general, I guess.
Sure, either one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Carolyn, you have a comment?
Sure.
So as we know, you can't get too far away from Carolyn without there being some sort of comment that's related to access issues. So my concern, I would like to make sure that we can do this everywhere. Because if we do it in a subdivision, so right now you do Water Hill, you go one driveway past Water Hill, you're stuck. One bus stop past Water Hill, you're stuck. One business past Water Hill, we're stuck. So we have to figure out as a community, so this is a plea for more than just the SMINI grant, but is to our city to say, we aren't going to be stuck for anybody anymore, and we need to get past this. We have far too many corners in our community where even where neighbors do a lot of work or businesses do a lot of work to clear sidewalks, all of a sudden the corner becomes covered in piles of snow, slush, puddles where we can't go anywhere. So the work that Water Hill has done is fabulous. We support it. We think it's great. We just need more of it everywhere.
Well, that's what we're working on, and this is the step towards that. If we can pilot the experience of expanding in one neighborhood, we do see this as a year where we're piloting the actual expansion piece of it with the absolute goal of citywide sidewalk snow maintenance program.
Larry?
Yeah, Partners in Access has been working for the total thing, but I think this is a really good start to get going. But we've been trying to work on an overall scope too.
Oh, and that's, we are aware of that, and that's, we understand that we can't work in a silo. We won't be successful working on our own, and your partnership, your being at the table and us working together on a common solution is how we'll move forward.
Long-term forecast is calling for more snow than average this winter too.
I know.
So we better get going.
Right. And so I reread Sally's email, and it sounds like you could just send the proposal. So I have some language I could draft, send you an email with the proposal for you to kind of ease this because of the time crunch. I could do that for
Sure.
you. But first, you need to.
Yeah, no, we definitely need to vote on it, and, Robin, on behalf of, the commission and everything you guys have done with Snow Buddies, we definitely appreciate everything that you're doing. Kirk, you have a question?
Yeah, well, I just want to echo my thanks as well. It's been a huge success from all accounts. And I'm assuming you've gotten guidance on, what's expected by the city in the proposal and stuff, so I guess so we have recently, in the past couple of years, ramped up enforcement of people who don't live up to the obligation of making sidewalks accessible. And there's still obviously a ways to go, and obviously Snow Buddy is a huge help. Have there been any citations as a result of people chipping in for Snow Buddy operating, but as Carolyn mentioned, there are things that happen, and I'm wondering if people assume that Snow Buddy took care of it, so they don't clear after a plow comes through, or et cetera, et cetera. I'm just wondering if there are metrics that says, we take care of everything and not to worry.
So the short answer is I am not aware. No, I would be comfortable in saying no, because we're a close-knit group. I am not aware of any member of the neighborhood being cited after a particular event where Snow Buddy had cleared or failed to clear well enough. That said, we do say that us existing in the neighborhood does not excuse your obligation to clean your sidewalks. That's clear on everything. That's like a disclaimer that on all of our publications on our website. Even if you give, that's not a payment for service. That's a donation towards a common goal we're all working for. But again, it doesn't excuse individual owners for their own obligations.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. So Snow Buddy launched in a particular neighborhood with its own fundraising appeal. Did that get grants? I mean, is this sort of, I'm just wondering how this model of fundraising fits relative to the one that you used to start it up in the original neighborhood.
Right. So the first 2 years we were solely funded through neighborhood contributions. We were able to, our budget is around, like I said, operation $30,000 a year, and we are able to raise consistently more than that. And every year we give an annual report. This third year, we began cultivating a relationship with the Ann Arbor Area Community Foundation, hoping, because we started this in 2014, not just for Water-Hill. We knew at our first, when we signed the incorporation documents, we wanted, Longview citywide maintenance. So the third year we started going after, see if we can get bigger money, start working on the bigger vision, and Ann Arbor Area Foundation did come through with a grant, and that's absolutely why we reached out to Partners in Access this summer to build a roadmap for the city to get there where we all want to go. And through that process, we found out about the Neighboring Partners Initiative, the small micro grant, and it's not the big grant, and we're not going to go citywide this year, but we are going to practice expanding and try and figure out how to replicate and what, we have 3 years worth of experience that we're actually, I am personally sifting through to figure out, get the cream to the top and figure out what we need to pass on to the new neighborhood and forget all the mistakes and all the, ineffective, inefficient things that we did in the past and give them the best, start here. This is the model that we've developed over 3 years.
All right, Kathleen, you had a question?
I did. I'm wondering, when you guys first started up, did you already have in place like a neighborhood association? In other words, how did you actually get the information out to the residents of Water-Hill saying that you were interested in starting this up? Was it by flyer or word of mouth or emails?
It was doorknob hangers.
Okay.
We, through doorknob hangers and, next door, social media, but mostly we put on, a bit of information on everyone's door. And it still astounds me today, but that first year, we raised $18,000 in 3 weeks. Wow. Our neighborhood said, yes, we want this. You're willing to run it here. We raised $18,000, and that's when, within a month, we had a tractor and a team of drivers, and we were ready for the snow. I mean, it was, so there is a lot of enthusiasm around this. People understand the need and the benefits for everyone. And that's been our experience in Water-Hill. Like I said, we're, piloting, purpose is to go and figure out if we can replicate that experience, and that's where we are this year. And we'll be I'm sorry to interrupt. Part of the proposals, we will do a fundraising within the neighborhood, and they will be expected to contribute revenue, so to support. We were not gonna run it solely on the city's money. It's just a kind of a spark to get it going. Yeah.
Excuse me if I'm a little new on this, but I'm just trying to understand how exactly this works. That I know that you get like contributions from the community, but then you clear snow. But in what cases do you just clear for people who say, I can't clear my snow, can you clear my snow? Or do you just clear all of it and then follow up when when people say, oh, there's this patch that isn't clear, or there's this, the snow plow came through and knocked this snow over to here?
So it is every inch of the entire neighborhood that we've drawn out, whether or not you contribute. I'm sorry, yes. We do every inch of the sidewalk within our neighborhood parameters. And we do it after their parameters, you know, if it snows an inch or more, we're out there. We also go out and we know when the snow plows come by, and we go back out there and clean up the windrows, those, you know, the parts that go down into the street and then back up. We clear those back up again. So the entire 12 miles of Water Hill neighborhood sidewalk is cleared to the pavement. That's our goal, to the pavement for everyone. And then, you said something else that I was going to respond to. Oh, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wondered if it was something where you cleared it all, or you only cleared for people who like said, oh, I can't clear mine, or...
Everybody. Because even, you know, our goal is to end this patchwork sidewalk clearing model.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I could see some argument for, oh yeah, we should have a millage and have the city do it, but then of course some people are not going to like that because it's another millage and just...
Well, the Commission on Pedestrian 2015 report.
We've been there, done that one.
They actually did a feasibility study, and they estimated about $60 per household per year to do this citywide.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
So that's another bit of information we have on hand.
Because it seems like it would be a lot less hassle than depending on people to individually clear their snow and like... I mean, it's like we don't have everybody has to hire a snowplow company to plow their part of the street. Why should it be that way for the sidewalk? It just seems kind of silly.
It tells you that we value driving over healthy walking.
Go ahead, Allison.
Robert already answered some of my question about what you were responding to. I think the point here is just to expand the model that nobody is trying to implement this winter. And then beyond that, it's going to be a further investigation in progress to expand the effort to a citywide for people who have mobility disability and who are in the aging population that have difficulty shoveling their snow themselves, and those who have issues with keeping up with the snow removal. So the end goal is to help the household and homeowners and not just think about providing access for people who have disabilities, but for anyone who uses the sidewalks and the driveways and any pathways throughout the city. So that's really the end goal here. And there are still going to be some steps that we need to figure out along the way. And this mega grant is really a plan, and I think it's pretty solid. Indication of the next steps that we have to take now for the next mile.
Yeah, I
There will be
understand.
some discussion later on.
I understand it's not like some citywide implementation. It's just doing another pilot. I saw the goal there, and I understand what you're saying. That's why I was kind of curious as to whether they just cleared it all or only cleared in certain cases where this, like, someone couldn't clear. It just...
Thank you, Tim. Kirk, you have one.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So that's great that you got support from the Community Foundation, and it looks like they enabled you to buy a second tractor. And in the timeline and budget, it says a grant to support purchasing of the tractor. Is that a third tractor?
That would be the tractor for the new neighborhood.
So do you have two tractors now? Because the Community Foundation helped you buy an additional one? Okay, and the third one would be for the new neighborhood.
Right.
And the gap between the grant of about 25 and the cost, which will likely be 35, is that, I'm assuming, is that you're depending on the neighborhood support for that? So your goal is 10,000 in neighborhood support to meet the,
At least, what we've done is we've financed the tractors, and so you don't pay that all up front. So we also would need, all the, there's maintenance, there's repairs, we can't spend all the money on the tractor, because we spend another 6,000 on maintenance and repairs throughout the season that we need to be prepared for the in the new neighborhood. So we are, that money will get us going, but we do, I would expect to raise more than 10,000 from the neighborhood we move into.
yeah, I think maybe we'll get to what the process is going forward, or if it's just a one-step to Mr. Lazarus and then it's done. I'm not familiar with the process for this, but
He's the last approver for this
okay.
particular request.
And it doesn't go through council or anything like that? This is.
No,
okay,
not
this is
to my
just-
knowledge. It's just,
Right.
on us to review the draft.
Great, okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else for Robin, folks? All right, Robin, well, thank you so much for
Thank you for
coming
your
before us
time.
today. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing with Snow Buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, Larry, one
Yeah,
last comment.
Mr. Chair, I know this is a time-sensitive issue, and I don't know exactly where the vote is on this, but I would move that we vote on this pretty quick here so that that information can be disseminated before 5 if possible.
Yeah, so, Larry, are you suggesting then that we move the vote up in the agenda?
Yes, I'm suggesting that we move the vote up so that if Robin is the one that needs to go up there, she can take it up there. Whoever
Okay,
needs to get it up there can get it up there before it.
all right. Well, do we have anyone else who is in favor of that?
I would be in
Aye.
favor
All right,
of that.
Allison, you're in favor of that. So is everyone in favor of moving the vote for the micro-grant application for Snow Buddy to the city of Ann Arbor? Are they all in favor of moving that up in the agenda to get that voted in? All right,
I'm
Allison?
raising my hand now to say
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
I-
okay.
I-
All of us are in favor of that?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
So we're going to move it up. Now, thank you very much, Robin. We
Okay.
appreciate it. And all right, so let's go ahead and I guess we can do this now so that we have time.
Do we have discussion or
Well, yes, of
did
course.
we already have discussion?
Well, no,
We
we're-
usually do discussion first, but.
Right, well, pardon me, Larry, I was getting to that point.
Okay.
So, did everyone have an opportunity to view the draft that was sent to us? And are there any other questions? So, did anyone have an opportunity to read it through, and are they familiar with what it says? Okay. So then, I guess the next point it would be to vote on it. So I just want to make sure that everyone has had time to read over, to know what Snow Buddy is asking for from the city. So I can put into effect now to vote for the Snow Buddy micro grant application to the city of Ann Arbor. Does anyone want me to read a bit of it out loud? Okay. All right. So we're going to vote now on the micro grant application for Snow Buddy for the city of Ann Arbor. Is there anybody that would like to start that off? Okay, Kirk?
So are we, what is the resolution? Just to recommend the micro-grant application?
That's correct, yes.
On behalf of the Commission on Disability Issues?
Yes,
Application to the City of Ann Arbor?
yes, that's correct.
I'll move that.
All right, Kirk will move.
I'll
And-
second.
All right, Kathleen seconds. All in favor of moving the Snow Buddy micro grant application, and of course, having the approval of the commission? Aye?
Aye.
All right. that is voted in. We will go ahead and let Mr. Lazarus know that that has been approved, and hopefully we can let him know in a timely fashion. Yeah.
In the next 45 minutes, and I want to say thank you to Robin for giving the presentation. And I know we asked a lot of questions, and we want to be mindful of the information that we get. And I really appreciate you answering all of our questions.
Appreciate the questions and interest.
No, well, thank you very much, Robin, and of course, I had an opportunity to review, this application, and of course, I know of Snow Buddy and of course the organization, and it is listed on our resource page as well for those that need it throughout the city this winter season. So again, thank you for all that you're doing and Snow Buddy has done, not only for Water Hill, but the continued neighborhoods.
Thank you, and I think you just need to send the grant proposal.
Yep.
Putting together a resolution.
Yeah, we'll make sure we send that along to Mr. Lazarus. Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it. I will share the good news, and we're on a timeline, so we're going to start working right away.
Good, good. Okay. All right, folks. Well, we can go ahead now and move to any public comments. Are there any members of the public that would like to comment? If there are, it is limited to 8 minutes, but gee, I don't see anyone.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And so we'll move forward. All right. We'll go to old business, and first we have the city personnel report with Heather. Heather, is there anything to report at this time? No. Okay. All right. And now, we have the chair report from Sally. Now, as Sally did mention, and everybody was aware, she did say that it is very important and time sensitive to get the micro grant application from Snow Buddy, and that we will need to vote and endorse this. And of course, I'd like to announce to everyone that, of course, we have done that. So Sally, thank you for making that a very sensitive issue, and of course, we are excited to do that. Also, let's see. She did say that if there were any questions, we could email her, but at this time, that is all that I have from Sally at the chair report, and we do wish her safe travels as she is back on the East Coast, and we look forward to seeing her again next month. All right, next is the Community Engagement Committee update, and of course, Rebecca Benedict was to be here to update us on that, but unfortunately, I don't see Rebecca here today. And Rebecca, we hope that you're doing well, and we hope that there is a lot of great things to report at the next meeting for community engagement. All right, next on the agenda, if we can move forward, is Ann Arbor Inclusive. And Ann Arbor Inclusive is doing well. We shot the second episode of Ann Arbor Inclusive, and we had the wonderful Rebecca Benedict on the show. And she talked about what it was like to be a wife with a husband with a disability, the challenge, but also the things she learned while being a wife with disability, and of course talked about marriage and relationships in the disability community, and also talked about her career working in home health care, and also what brought her to Ann Arbor. I'd like to think that it was one of the best episodes so far of the third season, and we look forward to Ann Arbor Inclusive next month. All right, next is the Partners in Access Committee report with Allison Stroud.
Hi.
Allison, hey there.
Hi, so the item at the agenda was to vote at the micro grant. So it sounds like we've already done that.
Yes.
So I give everyone a round of applause. Yay! We're getting that done so quickly. The only other item that I have to talk about is that Larry, Kathleen, and I had a Partners in Access subcommittee meeting last week, and we spoke of a few other things. And that includes our evaluation of the Stadium Boulevard reconstruction and what we thought improved and how much we think could be improved over the next while. I think our brief evaluation would be, description of the evaluation would be, we think everything looks great, and the sidewalks are leveled off and everything is even out, and we have more space for us to move around in case we have a lot of people to walk through. So I think there's a lot of improvement. There's a crosswalk in another part of Stadium Boulevard that actually helped us cross over to the other side of Stadium. And there's a sidewalk at the other side of Stadium across the street from Big House. So I think that's also a massive improvement. I think the only other thing that we thought could be considered an option to add on later on is another crosswalk at Stadium, just a little bit further away from the Big House and closer to Chrysler. So where the intersection is, I don't remember what the name of the street is, where Stadium connects. So that would be another area that I think could be improved with the crosswalk. But overall, we thought it was a major improvement from where it was before. And Kathleen is welcome to add on to it, because she was one of the people that evaluated Stadium Boulevard with me a couple of weekends ago on a very busy day. Very
Yeah, I was
encouraged.
really pleased with what we observed at the Big House. We went on Michigan State Day, and we were there at noon thinking that that was going to be a good time, and actually it was like being there at a regular game day. It was so busy. But I was really pleased with how the corridor was really open and accessible. The sidewalks seem wider in front of the Big House, and so you're not like forced to get closer to the curb, you know, where the traffic is. And also what Allison mentioned, where there were variations in the curb, where from the curb there was a step to get up to the sidewalk. Those have all been leveled out. So I think that a universal access is really what I'm going for. So people with buggies, people who use wheelchairs, people who have small children, I think it just makes things so much easier and safer. So I'm really pleased with what they've done there.
Yes, and another thing that we talked about, and thank you, Kathleen, for spending the day with me
Oh,
for a little bit. Another item we spoke about was Kathleen's new project that she wanted to investigate at Briarwood Mall, where there's sidewalks around the area, but there's no curb cut where there should be, in order for people with wheelchairs or strollers or anyone that needs a curb cut to be able to cross the street to get to the hotel just outside of the parking lot. So Kathleen is looking into it right now, and she has shared pictures with the Partners in Access Committee, and I can easily see that there's no way for someone to be able to cross the street where there's a curb cut at the other side. So that, to me, I think needs to be taken care of as soon as possible. And Kathleen plans to send a message to A2 Fixer to see what happens, and then we'll go from there.
Correct.
And feel free to share anything. Kathleen, did you have anything you want to share about that?
No, that was very
Okay.
good.
Are those your picks in the zip file?
Probably.
Okay. I was just wondering, but I was pretty sure they were.
Well, I'd just like to make one other comment. I'd like to thank both Allison and Kathleen for all of their hard work with the work on Stadium, taking the time out of your days to go and evaluate that on a very, very busy football Saturday here in this city. No, seriously, it's a big thing. So thank you very much for all your work. It does make a difference, and you know, we're very proud of the work that you do on the Partners in Access Committee. And as far as Briarwood Mall, I actually have some contacts that I can share with you, Kathleen, within Simon, that business, to be able to contact them to maybe get that going a little bit and have there be a little bit of headway with that. Allison, did you have an additional comment?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question, but the monitors have frozen a little bit, so I may be behind.
Okay.
Going to go ask the CTN folks. if-
Okay, yep, there's a bit of technical difficulties, folks. We do apologize, but that will get taken care of as soon as possible.
Okay, I do have a question about the Menko grant proposal, and I want to make sure I'm confirming with you. Who will send this Menko grant proposal to Howard? Will it be myself, or should it be Heather? Oh, you're doing it right now?
I'm just gonna tell him that the commission approved it to get it in by the timeline, and then if he wants a resolution, we can get that to him later, but
Thank you very much, Heather.
that's
I
fine.
think that should be, that's your job, right, Heather?
Thank you.
I'm happy you on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Heather. Now that's confirmed. I I will say I am done with my report, and we do have other ongoing activities that we're still investigating. And we'll provide updates as they come. So thank you for your time.
Sure. Thank you, Allison, for all of your work. And again, it means a lot. All right. Next, if we can move on, we have recruiting activity for Larry Keeler. And Larry,
That would be me.
is there any recruiting activity at the moment?
There is nothing going on at the moment. We have four open positions. And we do have, if I get out on time, if we get out early enough today, I'll run up and check to see. We do have 3 applications that are sitting in the wings, but now that we've got 4 positions, I think they can be activated, some of them. So I'm gonna check on that, and I'll keep plugging along to go. Just, call or visit the mayor's office at 794-6161, or up here in the 3rd floor of the City Hall building. And you should be able to get an application. If you need help filling that out, I'm sure that Christine Schroeppi-Ray will help you fill it out. She's pretty good at that, and then you're on your way. And
Well-
you can come visit with us.
Well, yeah, and thank you so much, Larry. And to all those watching today, we really encourage you that if you do, have a disability and are in the city of Ann Arbor and want to help continue to make the city inclusive and accessible for all, and really have a knack to come out and make a difference, please inquire about joining the Ann Arbor Commission on Disability Issues.
And again, if you fill out your application, you might not hear it right away. You might not be contacted right away, because they do go through the mayor's office, and then they go through City Hall and get voted on, and then once they're voted on, they come here. And you get a letter that says you're a new commissioner and you're invited to join. So
Wonderful.
It takes a few minutes, but it's usually not more than a month or 2.
All right. Thank you very much, Larry. We're going to head now, and we're going to move on to the Transportation Commission update with Mr. Tim Hull.
Yeah, so the last Transportation Commission meeting in September was mostly focused on the tree line, which is the formerly known as the Allen Creek Greenway. And they just essentially gave a presentation on all the master plan for that. And I guess you can find it on the website, the a2gov.org. There's like a draft plan that's it's quite a few pages, is what I'll say, and you might want to look at this to see more about the details of the plan. And we were just asked to essentially endorse pursuing the project. It was just a basic advisory vote. And the other thing is, currently, actually, the next meeting is tonight, and right now we're actually discussing the new train station proposal. And there's been a lot of talk about that, because there's the current preferred alternative is the Fuller Road site near the hospital and near Fuller Park, and actually currently designated as parkland, but it's a parking lot as it currently stands. And also there was sites discussed by the current station, and there was other sites in the big, there was a couple 100-page draft assessment, but they were all dismissed aside from these. But yeah, the current site, as well as perhaps repurposing what's now the Gandy Danter restaurant, and which was the former train station, was another alternative discussed. But the Fuller was designated as preferred, in part because it wouldn't require land acquisitions and was accessible to transit lines in where it is. But there's lots of details about that, and I know also another thing that might come into play is the pedestrian access. I would say seemed like the Fuller site is close to the hospital, though the depot site is closer to downtown. But transit access, it seemed like, according to the report, it would be easier to get buses out to the Fuller site than the depot site by far, because you have to go down Depot Street, and you would have to have some buses use pull-offs on the Broadway Bridge, which you would have to use, like, that's what I'm reading, and yeah, in the case of the Yanny Dancer, you would have like parking on one side of the bridge and the station on the other side, it looked like. And yeah, but I'd encourage you to go read it if you had more questions about this. There's a lot of details. I didn't even get to reading it all. It's like 200 odd pages, and then there's 700 pages of appendices with it, and it's just still trying to go over more of it, but yeah, I know there's lots of implications. I mean, the accessibility of the station and how to get between like different parts, like the parking and the buses and the trains, and that varies based on the alternative.
Well, no, definitely, but I think the work that you've been doing is tremendous, because there's a lot of commuters in this city, and I think it is a tremendous resource to have you on that and keep us abreast of what's going on. Larry, you have a question?
Well, I just have a comment to go along with his. I also hear that the Fuller Road location is also being considered a lot more because of the U of M students. A lot of U of M students take the train. It'd be a lot, and since they can take the train and get a lot more buses that time, that's another reason they're considering it. And they certainly do need to remodel that train station. You have been down there? You go to eat at Casey's, you have to run across the street and value your life. So
Yeah.
I'm glad, I'm hoping that they do this.
Yeah, I do think that played in, because they're talking about the transit access, how right now on Depot Street, it's kind of just a side street, so they have one route that's kind of oriented towards just going from Blake to that, but it only runs once every half hour, and it sounds like increasing the frequency is going to...
Oh, go ahead.
And it's going to be hard, and it's out of the way. Like, I know people say, yeah, U of M could run buses there, but it seems like they would have to run a special route to run to Depot Street, whereas Fuller Road is essentially on just about every U of M route.
Well, I decided to walk downtown from there once. This is why else that they need it. I decided to walk from downtown there once, and it's about 6 or 8 blocks, but it's really deceiving. Long, up hills, not the most accessible walk.
Yeah,
there
that's,
is. So
that's
I'm
one,
kind of glad they're also moving it down there. That's really a hard place to walk to from downtown.
yeah, that's one thing I've heard discussed, because people have at times said, well, Fuller, you can't walk to stuff, which is true. Aside from the hospital, perhaps you can't walk to a whole lot.
Angelo's.
But then in the case of Depot Street, yeah, you might be able to walk to the edge of downtown, but it is uphill, and there is all these barriers with the Broadway Street there, and there's a lot to consider there, but I do see where they're coming from on the Fuller thing.
Well, yeah, you can catch a whole bunch of buses. You can catch a lot of U of M buses and a lot of transit buses down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kirk?
Thank you to Tim. I think he captured a lot of the discussion very accurately about what people think about the different sites. But and his comments about accessibility are very true. It's a difficult place to navigate. It's difficult to get from the station to anywhere else in the city, because they have to take a shuttle to Blake and then from Blake to someplace else. So it's the need is, in my opinion, the need is great. The feds have said that, we're in line for an improvement because it's the busiest station between Detroit and Chicago. And, there certainly are some valid discussions about a site preference. There is an official comment period that's running up until November 2nd. So if whoever has an opinion on the site selection or other things that should be considered are encouraged to send an email to Eli Cooper. He's the point person in the city for this, and his email address is the initial E, then Cooper @a2gov.org. And if you put on if you type in Ann Arbor Station on the city's homepage, you'll find a whole page dedicated to resources discussing it.
Kurt.
Great. Larry, you have a question?
Yeah, Kurt, just for clarity, you were talking about the public comment section at the city council meetings here, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, so there's.
You were talking about public comment.
There's a formal written public comment
About,
time period, which comes after every report that's released from, this one was a joint effort between the, so it's a, I guess, just a more generic written public comment period up until November 2nd.
Oh, okay, this
So
wasn't
you can
city
certainly
hall.
come speak at council too, but
Well, yeah.
they want stuff in writing sent via email. And you can
That's
also-
what you were
yeah,
referring to.
there you go. Sorry, thanks for the clarification.
Well, thank you.
All right. Anything else on the Transportation Commission update? And thank you, Tim, and everyone for that information. All right. Now we move on to the announcements, and of course, we would like to hear from the U of M Council for Disability Concerns and the July and August and September meeting minutes. And of course, that is online, and there is a link to those meetings online with a wonderful link. But of course, we have the wonderful Kathleen here with us, who also serves on the UM Council for Disability Concerns. So do you mind sharing a few tidbits with us?
No, not at all. And actually, last meeting in September, we shared the June, July, and August. So the report that I'll be giving is the meeting that took place October 10th, if you don't mind. So one of the big things that was discussed at the meeting was we had a woman there from IT. Her name is Sue McDowell, and she was leading a group query as to finding gaps that occur in campus IT services, issues that were brought up where students with disabilities or professors or whatever who have access to certain programs that allow them to do their work and things like that if they're blind or impaired in any way. What they've been finding is sometimes there will be upgrades in IT, and then it doesn't conform with what the current processes is, so then those students and professors are then left with the gap of not being able to access their compatible equipment. So a lot of discussion ensued. I think that probably took up the majority of the meeting. But the other issue that came up was we're very excited to announce that our council member, who is the originator and organizer of the Army-Navy Games here at the University of Michigan, Gerald Hoff, in 2018, on January 27th at the Chrysler Arena, is the tip-off for the Army-Navy wheelchair basketball game at 5 p.m. And of course, there will be a lot more information coming about that. And Ira mentioned earlier, we're in the middle of investing in Disability versus Diversity Month at the University of Michigan. So tonight, there's a wonderful discussion happening at the AADL called From Stigma to Strength. There are also other events coming up. There is a Gift of Art collaborative event where there's going to be a free concert with Catherine Ball at the University Hospital Main Library on October 19th. There is a panel discussion coming up on October 23rd called Mental Health, Stories from the Heart, and that will be at the Hatcher Graduate Library from 12 until 1:30 p.m. And then just to mention two other events, there's a film called Including Samuel, October 26th, also at the Hatcher Graduate Library from 12 until 1:30, and anyone who is interested in these events is welcome to attend. There's no money involved. Just come and enjoy the program. And then the last thing on our agenda is November 6th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. It's called Taking Turns, Healthcare, Activism, and Community. And I apologize, I may not say this correctly, so I'm going to spell it. An RNMA by the name of MK, and her last name is, I believe, Swerswick, CZERWIEC, and that panel discussion will take place again at the Hatcher Graduate Library. And all of this information is available on the University of website called ability.umich.edu/IAW. And that's all I have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathleen, and thank you to you, and of course Gerald Hoff, Anna, and everyone on the UM Council for Disability Concerns for all the work that you do. And definitely looking forward to the event on January 27th, the annual University of Michigan Army versus Navy wheelchair basketball game that will take place, I believe, at Chrysler Center this
Yes.
year. Oh, great. So please, if you like basketball and are a big fan of our troops, please feel free to come out and support the Army-Navy wheelchair basketball game. And as Kathleen said, all that information can be on their website at ability.umich.edu/IAW. Wonderful, thank you so much. All right, moving on to any new business that there is. Anybody have any other new business?
I would actually go to add an announcement. I have my hand up briefly, so
Oh, pardon me.
yeah, it's fine. Kathleen brought ePunk card that provide information about how to use the ePunk app on your smartphone. So for anyone who wants to use this, feel free. And these should be scattered throughout the city at any ePunk kiosk. Just so I wanted to make sure that this information is shared in the card provided for everybody. Just so you know.
No, wonderful. Thank you, Allison. And also, of course, Investing in Abilities Week with U of M. There's also some flyers here as well. So please make sure, folks, that you grab one of those on your way and put those events on your calendar as well. Thank you. All right. Do we have any new business or any other announcements? All right. I would like to just say one more thing. I am preparing, well, because the wonderful UM Council on Disability Concerns, Jack Bernard had, brought up the issue when I was looking at the minutes a couple of months back. He had talked about, the unfortunate reforms that are going through with the Americans with Disabilities Act, with HR 620. And, I felt very strongly about us supporting an opposition letter and representing that and being able to get the U of M Council on Disability Concerns on that support, as well as the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living. I'm in the process of drafting that letter, and of course, I would like to put that in front of us at the November meeting to vote on that, to get our support, and then also to get the U of M Council on Disability Concern support, as well as the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living, and of course, if we can, anybody else in the city, to go ahead and get that to the appropriate party, because of course, I feel that we do have a great voice. Larry?
Oh, I'll wait for you to finish. But I actually have a comment, so I'll wait for you to finish.
Okay. And so I'm hoping that, again, we can put that in front of ourselves at the next meeting coming up next month to be able to review that and have a final draft. Larry, go ahead.
Well, I just wonder, can we do that?
I
Can we
don't,
officially do that, Kirk? Do you know if we can do that? Endorse something like that?
Yeah, I mean-
As being a subcommittee, as an advisory committee, can we still endorse something like that?
I mean,
I guess I'd have to look at the bylaws and to see if my sense is that they're pretty flexible and that we can advocate for anything according to our mission. And we can urge city council to advocate for things as well.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it or anything
Yeah.
like that. I just want to make sure we can do it.
Yeah, maybe that might be something for Mr. Frost.
But just
to-
before we do it, somebody
Well,
says we
review.
can't.
well, right, and Kirk, of course, I just felt as a wonderful, as wonderful advocates, disability advocates for the city and for the wonderful work that we do, this goes along with everything that we represent and what we've been working towards. So it was something worthwhile to get behind.
Oh, I agree.
Allison?
Yeah, I would say I don't see or remember anything in the bylaw that prevents us from being able to endorse it. We just have to have the majority vote in order to endorse the letter as a commission. And if there's no majority vote or if there's no final count that allows us to endorse it as the commission, we can still endorse it as individual. So I don't doubt that we will agreeing to endorsing the letter. And I do thank you for studying that, I think.
Well, I'm not questioning, I wasn't questioning our competence or anything like that. I was just questioning whether we could do it. So it's nothing against UZAC or anything like that. I just, you know, when we get something like that, I just wanna make sure we can do it so that, somebody doesn't get us in trouble later on for doing it.
No, Larry, I agree, and I wouldn't want to get any of us in trouble either.
Well,
So-
no, that's what I'm saying. I wanna make sure that we can do that, because there's some times where it's a little iffy whether we can do it or not.
Sure, sure. Okay, Kirk, you had one more thing?
Sure, and one other option, I guess, or maybe an additional option could be perhaps Sally or I could contact we have a policy subcommittee of city council, so if somebody wants to advocate for a policy change at the county, state, or federal level, they take it up and see if that's something that we want to express as a council. So that could be done in addition or instead, or I'm just throwing it out as a
I'd do it in
possibility.
addition if we
No,
can do it.
Well, how about that? Can I send you, once I have the current draft finished, can I send that to you and can you give me some feedback?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
Be
great,
happy to.
thank you. All right, well, that is all that I have. Is there anything else? All right, well, at this time, the meeting is adjourned. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today, and thank you again for your vote on the Snow Buddies micro grant. Really excited about that. And of course, thank you everyone for all your time and dedication, and we'll see you next month. And Sally, please get home safe. Thank you.
Ooh, I can't.